They thought they were gods until they met us. Xerox stood in the viewing chamber of the command ship Velinor, his 4 fingers tapping against the control panel. His silver-blue eyes watched the planet below, blue, green, and angry. Earth, classified as a Class 5 death world by the Galactic Concord. Still want to go through with this? Asked Commander Drex, his voice low and warning. Xerox didn't look away. We've studied this planet for years. It's time to observe its creatures up close. Commander Drex shook his head. Every record says these humans are violent, unpredictable, and emotional. They're dangerous, Xerox smiled. That's what makes them interesting. 1. The hunt begins on the surface of Earth. 6 humans from different parts of the world disappeared in the same hour. No witnesses, no evidence. Just gone. In a small town in India, Ravi, a young computer engineer, was walking home after work. He felt the air grow cold. A flash of light, a hum, then darkness. In a military base in the U.S. Mira, a battle-hardened soldier, was in the middle of training. Suddenly, everything around her froze. The next second, she wasn't there anymore. From Brazil, Russia, Nigeria, and Japan, 6 in total. 6 humans, all different, all strong in their own way, all now trapped in a room made of glowing metal. No doors, no windows, just silence. 02. The observation begins. Shrek, look through the observation glass. The humans inside the chamber were confused, scared, but already acting. They don't panic like other species, noted Xerox. Yet, Drex replied. Just wait. Inside the room, Mira was already inspecting the walls, checking for weak points. Ravi spoke. This isn't Earth tech. Maybe alien? A young woman from Lagos asked, laughing nervously. Like UFOs? Mira turned to her. Where are the cameras? There, Ravi pointed, spotting a small blinking dot in the ceiling. Then let's show them we're watching back, Mira said, staring directly into the lens. 03. Something feels wrong, Xerox observed with growing curiosity. The humans weren't reacting like any other species he had studied. Most beings cried, screamed, or tried to beg. But these humans were thinking, planning. I don't like this, Drex muttered. Xerox replied calmly. This is the first phase. Soon they'll break. But deep inside, even he was unsure. 04. Test 1. Gas. The chamber filled slowly with purple mist. A sedative, non-lethal, designed to calm the subjects. Humans panicked, but not for long. Mira ripped off her shirt and used it to make a mask. Cover your faces, stay low. The others copied quickly. In 10 seconds, they were lying on the floor, but awake, aware. That dose would knock out a Brendari beast, said one alien technician in shock. They're adapting, whispered Xerox. 05. Test 2. Sound torture. A sharp noise began. High frequency, meant to disrupt brainwaves. One human fell down, unconscious, but the others? They used what they had. Ravi took apart a belt and wrapped it around his ears. Mira pushed pieces of her boot solace into hers. Another human simply screamed until her voice broke, but she kept standing. 15 minutes later, the sound stopped. 4 humans still conscious. Xerox turned slowly. This isn't going to plan. 6. Escape begins inside the chamber. The humans were not just surviving. They were communicating. We're being tested, Mira said. Like lab rats. They're watching everything. So what do we do? Asked the Russian man. We give them something they don't expect. She replied. We break out. Ravi had been scanning the walls with a metal piece he broke off from the floor grate. There's a weak current here. Maybe power cables. Then we start cutting, Myra said, already pulling at the panel. 7. The first kill. Xerox was asleep in his private chamber when the alarm rang. Warning, containment breach. Human subjects have escaped. He rushed to the command deck. What happened? He barked. Drex replied, his voice shaken. They've bypassed the wall circuits. They're inside the ventilation shafts. What? That's impossible. They killed a technician with a pipe. Xerax stared, stunned. They're unarmed, no weapons. How? Sir, another officer called out. They just took control of a food drone. They're moving fast. 8. The predator in the dark inside the dark corridors of the ship. Mira led the group. The humans moved like shadows, quick and silent. They took turns sleeping. They shared scraps of food. They learned fast. Ship layout looks like an octopus, Ravi explained. We're in one of the arms. If we reach the center, we can maybe find a control room. But they'll be guarding it, said another human. Mira smiled. Good. Let them try. 9. Fear spreads for the first time. The aliens were afraid. Inside their own ship. Technicians refused to go alone in the corridors. Guards walked in groups. Cameras started going dark, one by one. Are they cutting power? Drex asked, sweating. No, Xerax whispered. They're hunting us. 10. Message to the Concord. Xerax sent a private transmission to the Galactic Concord headquarters. Subject: Class 5 Deathworld species. Humanity. Assessment: Extreme threat. Recommendation: immediate termination or containment. He paused before adding the last line. Do not underestimate them. They are not like us. 11. Final showdown. The humans finally reached the inner control hub. One guard tried to stop them. Mira threw a stolen stun stick, hitting him square in the chest. He collapsed instantly. Another guard ran and didn't look back. Inside the hub, Ravi stared at the main console. I don't understand the language, but I think I can jam the communications. Mira nodded. Do it. Then find the airlock. System, open it. What? We're flushing them out, she said coldly. 12. Last Stangerak stood at the bridge, watching as control systems began to fail. His ship, once a perfect machine, now belonged to chaos. He heard footsteps behind him. He turned. Mira stood there, blood on her hands, calm in her eyes. Hello, she said. Xerax raised a weapon. She didn't flinch. You don't understand what you've done, he hissed. We are the Galactic Concord. We are order. She smiled. And we are human. We are the storm. She pressed a button. The airlock behind him opened, and Xerax was gone. 13. Final log. Galactic Concord log entry. Classified species: Homo sapiens. Planet Earth. Deathworld. Status: active threat notes. Avoid direct engagement. Destruction of sample ship Velinor confirmed. Last transmission from alien ship. They thought we were gods. Until they met us. The Velinor drifted silently in deep space. Lights flickered across the alien ship's long metallic corridors. Inside, 6 humans had taken control of a ship built by one of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. But this was just the beginning. 01. The aftermath. Myra stood over the alien control panel, blood still on her sleeves. She looked tired, but her eyes were sharp. Ravi sat nearby, working quickly with a makeshift tool, trying to decode the alien interface. The others, Sonia from Russia, Jamal from Nigeria, Aiko from Japan, and Carlos from Brazil, rested for a moment in the corner, their bodies bruised and minds racing. We took their ship, Mira said, looking around. Now we figure out what they were doing to us. 2. Memory of Earth. Jamal sat silently, staring at a blinking light on the wall. He missed home. He missed the smell of Lagos after the rain. But something else burned stronger in his chest. Rage. They grabbed us like we were nothing, he said aloud. Like we were animals. Carlos nodded. They wanted to study us, test us, break us. They failed, Sonia said coldly. They underestimated humans. Ravi added without looking up. 3. Learning the enemy. Ravi finally broke into one of the alien consoles. Okay, I don't know this language, he said, but I understand systems. This looks like biological logs. They've done this before, to other species? Aiko asked. Ravi nodded slowly. Yes, but most of them died in the first few hours. Couldn't handle the stress or the tests. And we survived all of it, Myra said. No, Ravi replied. We adapted. 4. The ship fights back suddenly. The lights went red. A loud alarm echoed. What now? Carlos yelled. Automatic systems, Ravi shouted. Backup AI is online. It's trying to seal the bridge. Metal doors began to slide shut. Move, Mira ordered. They jumped through the gap just before it closed. They were now trapped in the outer hallways. We lost the control room, Sonia said. But not the ship, Mira replied. We still know how to fight. 5. Alien reinforcements far away. The Galactic Concorde had received Zirek's final message. A small patrol ship, the Turvan class, was sent to investigate. Inside, a young alien pilot named Lirith stared at the screen. The Velener is dark. No signals, no crew reports. Commander Vorkin frowned. Send a boarding team. Check for survivors. We need to know what happened. Do you think the humans escaped? Lirith asked. Vorkin replied coldly. If they did, this becomes a war. 6. Preparing for war back on the Velener, Mira had gathered the group. Listen, she said. There's a second ship coming. We saw it on the scanner before the control room shut down. How do we stop it? Aiko asked. We don't, Mira said. We make it afraid to come closer. 7. Deathworld training. Each human had lived through hard times on Earth. Mira had survived war zones. Ravi had hacked government systems. 16. Jamal had fought gangs on the streets of Lagos. They were not soldiers by choice, but by experience. Sonia created a trap using power cables and a metal rod. Aiko reprogrammed a maintenance drone to act as a mobile decoy. Carlos scouted the outer airlocks, learning where the patrol ship might try to dock. 08. The welcome trap. The boarding team from the Turvan class entered through an emergency hatch. 6 alien soldiers, armed and armored, moved in cautiously. It was silent. Too silent. Then dash boom. The first trap exploded, throwing 2 of them across the hallway. Electricity danced in the air. From the shadows, Sonia and Jamal attacked. Using stolen stun sticks. 2 more soldiers fell. The last 2 ran. They're running, Jamal laughed. No, Mira said from above, aiming a plasma rifle she stole earlier. They're retreating. 1 shot. 1 kill. The last alien was allowed to escape on purpose. 9. Message delivered. Leith screamed as the injured alien boarded the patrol ship, bloodied and shaking. Humans, monsters, demons. Not normal. Commander Vorkin listened. In silence, they watched us, played with us. They don't run. They hunt. Vorkin stared at the drift in Velener. Pull back, he said finally. What? Why? He looked at the stars. Because we've woken up something ancient. Something angry. 10. Myra's plan. Mira and Ravi managed to access a second part of the ship, an old navigation room. We don't know where we are, Ravi explained. But I can trace where this ship came from. It's part of a bigger network. You think there are others like us? Mira asked. I think there are more humans taken, tested, maybe still alive. Then we find them, she said. Carlos spoke up. And then what? We take the fight back to them, she said. They think we're broken. We show them what it means to be human. 11. The growing legend across space. Stories began to spread. A Deathworld species had destroyed a Concorde ship. Small group of humans had defeated trained alien soldiers. Rebellion groups in distant corners of the galaxy heard the tale and started to hope. If humans can fight them, maybe we can too. 12. Back on Earth in a hidden lab deep under the Rocky Mountains, a small team of scientists were watching the stars. We lost contact with one of their ships, Dr. Ilara said. The Velenar. General Adams nodded. Which means one of two things: they've killed our people. Or, the general said, smiling faintly, our people have killed them. 13. Closing scene inside the ship. Ravi finished entering the last sequence. I found coordinates. A space lab, not far. Another prison? Sonia asked. Maybe, or maybe a place with answers. Mira stood and looked out the window. They were no longer scared. They were no longer prisoners. They were survivors. And soon, they would become something much more. They came to conquer our world. Now we're coming for theirs. The alien ship Velenar floated silently through deep space, but it no longer belonged to the Galactic Concord. It now had a new captain, a human. Myra.01. A new mission. Ravi stood over the old navigation console. I traced the path this ship used before it came to Earth, he said. They stopped at a space station, maybe a research lab. Could be where they kept others like us, said Myra. Or where they planned the next abduction, added Jamal. Mira's face was hard. Either way, we go there next. The 6 humans, tired, scarred, and burning with rage, were ready to take the fight to the stars. 2. The station. They arrived near an asteroid belt, where a small station orbited slowly, half hidden behind rock and dust. It looked peaceful, too. Peaceful. Sonia peered through a scanner. No movement. No heat signatures. Ravi frowned. That's strange. It should be busy. Maybe it's a trap, Jamal said. Maybe it's empty, Mira replied. Let's find out. They suited up. Armed with stolen alien weapons and crafted gear, the team entered the station. 03. Ghosts and shadows inside. Everything was quiet. No lights. No sounds. Just dust and the hum of backup power. Looks abandoned, Carlos whispered. Iko moved toward a console. This system is still active. I can access logs. The screen blinked. Alien symbols glowed, then translated. Project Humanity terminated. Reason: failed control. Escape event: Velenar incident. They know what happened, Iko said. They tried to erase the project. And the crew? Mira asked. Gone. Maybe escaped. Maybe silenced. 4. The horror room. They moved deeper into the station and entered a large chamber. It was a lab. Dozens of glass tanks stood in rows. Inside, human bodies. Some alive. Most not. Iko gasped. Jamal turned away in anger. They were experimenting on us, Mira whispered. They were building something, Ravi said, pointing to one tank. Inside was a hybrid, part human, part machine, part alien. Why? Sonia asked. To create weapons, Mira answered. Us, modified, controlled. But we didn't break, Jamal said. No, Mira replied. We became stronger. 5. The last survivor in the last tank. A man was still breathing, barely. They opened the tank and the man fell into their arms. Name: Tom. UK, soldier. Mira looked at Ravi. Get him stable. Tom opened his eyes slightly. They wanted us to fight their wars. Like pets. But we fought back. He passed out. Another one saved, Sonia whispered. 06. Alarms again suddenly. Loud blaring. Red lights. Movement on sensors. They found us, Ravi shouted. A ship is approaching. Big one. Bigger than Velenar? Carlos asked. Yes. Concord flagship. Full military. Mira's eyes narrowed. Then we give them a fight they won't forget. 7. Preparation. They rushed back to Velenar with Tom carried between Carlos and Sonia. Mira gave orders. Ravi, gen their signals. Iko, rig the station's power core. Make it ready to explode. What? Iko said. If we can't beat them, we take their lab down with us. Jamal nodded. Burn the evidence. Burn the history. They knew this wasn't just a fight for survival. It was a message. 08. The Flagship the Concord warship was 10 times larger than Velenar. Commander Aaron stood at the helm, calm and confident. Send drones, disable their engines, no direct attack yet. He turned to his science officer. I want the humans alive. They're unpredictable, the officer warned. That's why I want them studied. 9. Battle begins. Drones flew toward Velenar like a swarm of metal bees. On the ship, Ravi activated a pulse wave, disabling the first group. Mira fired plasma turrets manually. We need to buy time for Aiko. Inside the lab station, Aiko finished setting up the core. It's ready. One shot, and boom. She ran back to the ship. 10. Into the fire. More drones. More damage. Velenar shook. Sparks flew. Carlos got thrown against a wall but stood up again. Shields failing. Ravi shouted, then we fight without them. Mira growled. She opened the side airlocks and launched decoy drones stolen earlier. The enemy drones got confused, chasing the fakes. That gave them just enough time. 11. Final move. Mira turned to Aiko. Blow it. Aiko hesitated, then pressed the button. The lab station exploded in a massive fireball, sending shockwaves through space. Pieces of human experiments, alien tech, and twisted metal flew everywhere. On the flagship, Commander Aaron stood stunned. What have they done? 12. Psychological warfare inside the ship. The human team watched the explosion. They won't take us lightly anymore, Jamal said. They'll fear us. Mira replied. We're just 6, Aiko said. For now, Ravi added. They had sent a message loud enough to echo across the stars. 13. Broadcast to the galaxy using alien tech. Ravi hacked a transmission channel used by the Galactic Concord. He sent out a simple message. To all species under the Concord, you are not alone. They came for us. We took their ship. They experimented on us. We destroyed their lab. We are humans. And we fight back. From Deathworld Earth. 14. The fear spreads across the galaxy. Species living under Concord rule heard the message. In secret corners of planets, rebellion symbols began to appear. One phrase repeated everywhere. They called them Deathworlders. Now they understand why. 15. Looking forward. Tom woke up, slowly recovering. He sat beside Mira and looked out the window. So what now? He asked. Myra's voice was calm but strong. We find more of us. We build a fleet. And then? Tom asked. We return the favor. One human can change the course of a war. The galaxy was watching. The Galactic Concord was nervous, because a handful of humans had taken the fight to the stars. And now, the few were becoming many. 1. The Aftershock Commander. Vorkin stared at the latest reports. The Velenar was no longer just a ship. It was a symbol. A small band of humans had destroyed a secret lab, sent a warning to the galaxy, and showed the Concord they were not weak. Why is this happening? He asked. His second-in-command, Trell, replied, They adapt fast. They learn. And worst of all, they don't fear death. 2. Gathering forces. Meanwhile, Mira and her team had reached a hidden asteroid base. They called it the Refuge. Other humans, abducted like them, were here. Some weak, some strong. All ready to fight. Myra addressed the crowd. We survived because we refused to die. She paused. We will fight to take back our freedom. The crowd cheered. 03. Training the survivors. Refuge was rough. No fancy technology, but it was Earth, the Death World, teaching its own. Ravi helped design simple weapons using alien parts. Sonia trained fighters in close combat. Jamal taught guerrilla tactics learned from Earth's toughest places. Aiko worked on hacking alien communication. Carlos organized supplies and scouting missions. Each human was becoming a soldier. 4. The enemy watches back on Concord space. The news was worse. Rebellions had started to form on several planets. Alien species once loyal to the Concord now whispered about humans as dangerous legends. Send a fleet, Vorkin ordered. But we risk more losses. Trell warned. Vorkin's voice hardened. They are becoming a threat. We end this now. 5. First strike. The Concord fleet moved fast. The plan: attack the refuge and destroy the human survivors before they could grow stronger. Mira watched the incoming ships on her monitor. They're coming, she said. No time to waste, Ravi replied. They prepared traps, weapons, and defenses. 06. The Battle of the Refuge. When the Concord fleet arrived, the refuge exploded with gunfire. Humans fought with everything they had. Sparks flew. Aliens screamed. The air smelled of burning metal. Sonia and Jamal led a counterattack that pushed the enemy back. Mira moved through the chaos, giving orders, inspiring hope. We're not just surviving, she shouted. We're winning. 7. The turning point. In the middle of the battle, Tom, the rescued soldier, spotted an enemy commander. He took a risky shot and hit the ship's control panel. The flagship lost control and crashed into a nearby asteroid. The Concord fleet was in chaos. 08. A new ally from the wreckage. An alien ship appeared. Its captain, Lirith, once a Concord pilot, had switched sides. She approached Myra. I've seen their cruelty, she said. The Concord lies. You fight for freedom. I want to help. Mira hesitated but then nodded. We need allies, she said. 9. Planning the future with Lirith's help. They learned of more secret labs and prisons. We are just the start, Lirith warned. Mira looked at her team. We take the fight to every corner of this galaxy. 10. The fear of the few. Back in Concord HQ, fear spread like wildfire. Humans are not just survivors, Vorkin admitted. They are warriors, Trell added. We underestimated their strength. Now we face a rebellion that could break us. 11. Closing scene. Mira stood on the deck of Velinar. She looked at the stars. One small group had become a beacon of hope for many. The galaxy was changing, and the humans, the Deathworlders, were ready. They united us through fear. Now we unite through fire. The galaxy was waking up. What started with a small human escape had now become something much bigger. Whispers turned into messages. Messages turned into missions. And humans, once prisoners, had now become leaders. 01. New flames on a cold desert moon. Mira stood before a crowd. But this time, it wasn't just humans. Beside her stood Lirith, the alien pilot who had turned against the Concord. Next to her stood an insectoid rebel from the planet Krysa, and a lizard-like warrior from Veltar Prime. Behind them, dozens of species, different bodies, different languages. One purpose. Freedom. 02. The call. Many of you have lost families, Mira said. Some of you have lost whole worlds. She looked around, eyes full of pain, but also full of hope. They thought they could break us, but look at us now, together. Cheers rose. Some in alien sounds, some in human voices. The resistance was born. 03. Ravi's discovery. Back aboard the Velinar, Ravi had broken into deeper Concord systems using stolen data. There's something big, he told Mira. Not just ships or labs. What is it? She asked. A central command hub, hidden, protected. It's where they control their entire military AI. If we destroy it, she guessed, we don't just hurt them. We cripple them. 4. The Council of Shadows in the capital of the Galactic Concord. Top leaders gathered in secret. Resistance is spreading, one leader said. They now include multiple species. Not just humans. They're planning something. We must strike first. But one voice, a cold and ancient one, said, no, let them come. Let them show themselves. And we will crush them completely. 5. Resistance grows while the Concord waited. The resistance moved fast. IIKO hacked prison satellites, freeing thousands. Carlos led attacks on Concord supply lines, stealing fuel and weapons. Sonia trained alien rebels in close combat, turning Fear into fury. Jamal, once a street survivor, became a symbol of courage on battlefields. Every victory inspired more to join. 06. Not just war. A message Myra knew they couldn't just win with bullets. They needed the galaxy to believe. She stood before a stolen camera and recorded a simple message. We are not your enemies. We are your future. Together we break the chains. It was broadcast across the galaxy. Even in the Concorde's core systems, slaves and soldiers secretly watched. Some began to question. Some began to hope. 7. The mission. Plan. Ravi mapped the coordinates of the Concorde command hub. It's deep inside a red dwarf system, guarded by destroyers, drones, and defense rings. How do we get in? Jamal asked. We don't go through them, Lirith said. We go under. She pulled up star charts. There's a black matter tunnel, unstable, but passable. Dangerous, Carlos said. We've done worse. Mira replied. 08. The infiltration. Resistance fleet moved in silence. 3 small ships entered the tunnel. Dark, twisting, no light, no sound. Inside, every second felt like hours. Finally, the hub appeared. A giant metallic station, glowing like a heart, pulsing with power. They were close. 09. Inside, the Beast strike team of 7 humans and aliens entered the hub through a maintenance shaft. Mira led the way. Ravi carried a device to upload a virus into the I-core. Guards appeared. A battle broke out. Blades, blasts, and screams filled the air. They kept moving. 10. The core room. At last, they reached the central chamber. A glowing orb, the eye-brain of the entire Concorde military, floated above a platform. Ravi ran to the console. Cover me. Mira, Jamal, and Lirith fought off drones from every side. Sparks flew. Blood spilled. Ravi connected the virus drive. Progress, 30%, 60%, 90%. 11. Sacrifice. A heavy drone launched a rocket. Lirith pushed Ravi aside. The blast hit her. She fell. Mira screamed, but didn't stop fighting. Ravi stood again, shaking, and completed the upload. The AI core flickered, then went black. 12. The collapse across the galaxy. Concorde ships lost coordination. Battalions stopped responding. Defense satellites went offline. Confusion turned into panic. The resistance didn't wait. They attacked fast and hard. Planet after planet was freed. 13. The end of a chapter. Velina returned to the refuge. Lirith's body was buried in the sand of the moon she helped liberate. Mira stood in silence. She died not as a Concorde pilot, she said. She died free. 14. A new galaxy. Months passed. The Concorde's power had broken. New governments formed. Old enemies became friends. And humans, the species once considered wild, dangerous, and unfit, became something else. Leaders. 15. The message. Lives on children. On distant planets heard the story of 6 humans who escaped a prison ship. Who took down a lab. Who built a rebellion, who changed a galaxy. And a phrase carved into metal across stars remained. They called them Deathworlders. Now they understand why. They left Earth behind. But Earth never left them. The Galactic Concorde had fallen, its leaders scattered, its armies broken. But for the humans who led the resistance, a new mission was beginning. A mission home. 01. A signal in the void. Aiko was working late in the ship's data room. She ran scans through leftover Concorde signals, searching for anything strange. Then she found it. A transmission. Weak, old, human. She boosted the signal. This is Earth. Outpost Delta. We are still here. Repeat, we are still. The message stopped. She stared at the screen. Heart pounding. Earth was alive. 2. Hope awakens. Myra gathered the team. Earth has been dark for 20 years, she said. They thought it was destroyed or locked down. But this changes everything, Ravi added. We have to find that outpost. Jamal clenched his fist. We go home. 3. The journey back they board the Veloner, now rebuilt and upgraded. It was no longer a stolen ship. It was their ship. Their flag. As they jumped through hyperspace toward the Sol system. Silence filled the bridge. Everyone was thinking the same thing. What if Earth is gone? What if it's changed forever? 4. Arrival. The ship slowed near Pluto. Sensors scanned the solar system. Something was off. No Concorde ships. No satellites. Just cold silence. And then, "Contact," Aiko shouted. "It's coming from the moon." A small human station lit up. Outpost Delta 5. The survivors, they landed on the moon base. Inside, they found them. Old, tired humans, soldiers, engineers, scientists. "We hid for years," said Commander Ortega, head of the outpost. "The Concorde came, took millions, but some of us stayed underground." Mira's voice was quiet. "We thought Earth was gone," Ortega smiled. "Earth doesn't give up that easy." 6. The state of Earth. From orbit, Earth looked strange. Green covered old cities. Satellites were broken. Oceans had risen, but it was alive and people still lived. Tribes in the north, bunkers in the east, communities in orbit. Humanity had survived. Scattered, but strong. 07. Touching the soil for the first time in 20 years. Mira stepped onto Earth soil. She fell to her knees and touched the dirt. Tears filled her eyes. "This is home," she whispered. Sonia and Carlos followed. Silent and emotional. They were finally back. 08. A warning from Earth. Ortega took Mira aside. "We picked up Concorde signals near Jupiter. Remnants. Scouts." Mira stood. "They're trying to return," Ortega nodded. "And they're looking for something." "What?" she asked. "The first site," he said. "Where the first alien ship landed 40 years ago. Before the public ever knew." 9. The first site. They traveled to a jungle island near the equator. Buried under vines and soil was an old wreck. Alien. Ancient. Inside, Aiko found a black sphere. "It's not a weapon," she said. "It's a beacon." "A beacon to what?" Jamal asked. "To more of them," Aiko answered. 10. The risk, if they reactivate this. Ravi said, "They can call reinforcements, maybe worse." "And if we destroy it?" Sonia asked. "We end their chance to ever invade again." "But it's risky," Mira said. 11. The last Concorde fleet as they prepared. Concorde scouts arrived in orbit. 6 warships. They sent a message. "Return the beacon, or Earth will burn." Mira replied calmly, "This is our world now. Come and try." 12. The Earth defense all around the planet. Humans prepared. Old bunkers, powered up. X-resistance fighters trained survivors. The moon. Base launched drones. And Veloner took its place. In orbit, Earth wasn't just a memory. It was a fortress. 13. The final battle for Earth. The Concorde. Fleet entered low orbit. Fighting erupted. Sky lit up with plasma blasts. 1. Earth station was hit, lost, but humans kept fighting, on land. Fighters destroyed landing pods. In orbit. Rovi and Aiko disabled enemy AI systems. In space. Mira fired the Veloner's new cannon, tearing a warship in half. 14. The beacon's end on the island. Jamal and Carlos fought to hold the site. Sonia reached the beacon core. Setting charges. She yelled, "Cover her." Jamal shouted. With seconds to spare. They ran. The beacon exploded. A flash of blue light filling the sky. Every Concorde ship nearby lost power. 15. Victory and silence. Remaining Concorde ships drifted helplessly. One by one, they fell. Earth was safe. For now. 16. A message to the galaxy. Mira stood before a new camera. She looked stronger, calmer, older. "This is Earth. We are no longer lost. We are no longer alone. To the free species of this galaxy, we welcome you." To the tyrants, stay far away. The message spread from Mars to moons of other stars. 17. Echoes in quiet places across the stars. The story was told. A planet once feared, a species once underestimated. And a handful of survivors who changed the future were called monsters. They became heroes. They were from Earth. They broke free. Now they break the chains of others. The stars were different now. Earth was free. The Concord was broken, but across the galaxy, millions still lived in cages. And the humans, the Deathworlders, were not finished. 01. The message A transmission reached the Velinor, a whispered signal from a mining moon called Dravix 9. We are slaves. Concord ships come every 30 days. Please, someone help. Mira stared at the screen. We helped ourselves, she said. Now we help them. 2. Building a plan in Earth orbit. Resistance leaders gathered. This isn't just about one moon, said Sonia. There are hundreds like it. Thousands, added Aiko. Mining colonies, breeding farms, child labor. Carlos looked around the table. If we strike one, the others will rise. Mira nodded. Then we give them a signal. 3. Operation Spark. The plan was simple. 3 targets. 3 teams. Team Alpha would strike Dravix 9. Team Beta would free a factory world. Team Ghost would infiltrate a data vault to release slave records to the public. Each attack would happen on the same galactic cycle, one day. 1 Spark. 04. Team Alpha, Dravix-9. Jamal and Sonia led the charge on Dravix 9. The sky was always dark. The ground was covered in ash. Slaves worked with broken tools, monitored by walking drones and mercenary guards. Jamal's voice crackled in the comms. Let's break some chains. The team moved through the shadows. They planted explosives, freed key prisoners, and took control of the control tower. 5. The uprising begins the moment the tower fell. Workers started fighting back. They used mining drills, stones, and stolen weapons. One worker shouted, "We are not machines." Another screamed, "For Earth." The guards were overwhelmed. The slaves, free now, burned the Concord flags. 06. Team Beta, Factory World Gorliss 7. Carlos and Lirith's old wingmates led the second attack. On Gorliss 7, millions lived in giant factory towers working 20-hour shifts. When the resistance arrived, they hacked into the tower's speaker system. Carlos spoke. You don't have to serve them anymore. Join us, the fight is already here. Hundreds dropped their tools. A riot started. 07. The sky burns on Gorliss 7. Concord drones fired into the crowd. But resistance ships arrived overhead and returned fire. Lirith's old friend, now flying for freedom, screamed through comms. This is for her. He crashed his fighter into the drone factory tower. Fire spread across the sky. 08. Team Ghost, the vaults of Kremiko and Ravi, led the stealth team. Deep inside the Concord archive vaults. On the planet Krim, slave records were stored. Who was taken? From where? Who still lived? They broke into the system silently, downloaded it all. And sent it to every system in the galaxy. 09. The truth goes viral. Billions saw it. Proof of what the Concord had done. Parents saw children they thought were dead. Tribes saw leaders lost long ago. Worlds finally believed the resistance. On hundreds of planets, people began to rise. 10. Backlash. The last of the Concord loyalists struck back hard. They bombed rebel cities, launched assassins, poisoned food supplies. But something had changed. Now everyone was watching. Now everyone cared. The Concord could no longer hide. 11. Council of the Freed, on a peaceful planet once used for Concord courts. Mira called a summit. Species once divided, now sat at one table. The tall Chrisen bugs, the furry Groln. The scaled V, eel -tia ri. The human team We need peace, Mira said. But first, we finish what we started. 12. The final push. The Resistance fleet, now a force of many species, moved toward Famaris, the last stronghold of the Concord elite, a rich world. Full of gold, towers, and lies. The elite had never seen war. Now, it was coming to their doorstep. 13. The Battle of Famaris. The sky filled with ships from 10 species. The Concord fired with panic, but they were outnumbered. Outclassed. And out of time, on the ground. Mira led the charge. Blasts, blades, bodies, war came to the rulers at last. 14. Surrender. The last Concord leader, Vorkan, was captured. You could have ruled the stars, he told Mira. She answered calmly. We didn't want to rule. We wanted to be free. He said nothing more. 15. Breaking the chains. The Resistance shut down the last slave codes, destroyed tracking collars. Tore down prisons. Thousands of ships flew out to pick up freed people and returned them home. For the first time in decades, the galaxy breathed. 16. A new star map on a giant wall in Earth's new space station. A map was drawn, not of war zones, but of freedom zones. Every planet freed, every system safe. Children came to touch the glowing lights. Old warriors came to cry. 17. Mira's last message in a final broadcast. Mira spoke. We came from a world that was wild and dangerous. They called us Deathworlders. They feared what we might become. Now they see us clearly. Not destroyers, not monsters, just people like them. But people who would never be slaves again. They feared us, they caged us. But now they tell stories of us, not with fear, but with fire in their hearts. 1. A new galaxy. 3 years had passed since the Concord fell. The galaxy was not perfect, but it was no longer silent. Resistance had turned into the Union of Free Worlds. Dozens of planets now flew one flag, a broken chain across a rising sun. And at the center of it stood Earth. 02. The summit on a grand floating city above the planet Veltar Prime. Leaders from across the stars gathered. Insectoids in armor. Water beings in hoversuits. Tall, crystal-skinned thinkers from a gas world, and humans, finally equals. Among the stars. Mira stood in front of them all. Not as a rebel, not as a soldier, but as a builder. 03. Myra's speech. She said, we were once afraid. We ran, we fought, and we survived. But survival is not enough anymore. Now we build, now we protect, now we lead. The crowd rose in applause. Some clapped with hands, some clicked, some roared, but all stood. 4. Echoes from the past at night. Ravi looked at the stars. He remembered their escape from the Concord lab. The blood, the pain, the fear. He whispered. Lirith would have loved the sky. Aiko sat beside him. She helped build it. 5. The archive in Earth. A giant digital library opened. They called it the Memory Core. Inside were stories from every freed world. Documents, voices, drawings, even scraps from old prison walls. At the center was a sculpture. 7 figures. Standing tall, looking upward. One had wild hair. One carried tools. One held a broken chain. All of them were human. 6. New generation's children now flew ships across stars that once burned with war. One young girl on Mars asked her teacher, "Is it true humans were once slaves?" The teacher smiled, "Yes, and now we help make sure no one else ever will be." 7. Threats remain. Not all danger was gone. Pirates still roam deep systems. Old Concord loyalists whispered in shadows, but they feared one name. They feared the stories. They feared the humans who burned empires down and never looked back. 08. The word spreads on the world. Tivora, an old storyteller, sat before alien children. They asked, "Tell us the story of the humans again." And so he began. Long ago there was a wild world. Its animals were fierce. Its weather was cruel, and its people were stronger than stone. The children leaned in. They were taken, beaten, broken, but they did not stay down. They rose. They fought. They became the fire. 9. Returned to Dravix 9. Mira visited the mining moon they once freed. Now, it had trees, flowers, a school. A monument stood at the old control tower. Here began the chain fire. Lit by hands once tied, now raised in victory. 10. One last message in. A quiet room aboard the Velinar, now a museum ship. Mira sat at an old radio panel. She recorded her final message to the stars. To those still hiding, still hurting, we were once where you are. Afraid, angry, alone. But we learned something. Chains don't break by waiting. They break when someone decides to pull hard enough to bleed. And sometimes, that someone is you. 11. The legends begin in every system touched by the resistance. Legends were told, not just of Mira, Ravi, Sonia, Jamal, Carlos, AIKO, but of humanity itself. The species who came from a death world, not because they were killers, but because they refused to kneel. 12. The galaxy watches one. Young alien journalist once asked Mira during an interview, "Why do they still call you Deathworlders?" She smiled gently, "Because they still don't understand." He tilted his head. "Understand what?" Mira leaned forward. "We're not dangerous because of our world. We're dangerous because we remember. Every chain, every cry, every name. And we never, ever forget." 13. And so it was written on a steel plate. In the heart of Earth's new Unity Hall, 7 words were carved for all to see. They called us Deathworlders. Now they understand why. The end.